During Real Time with Bill Maher's Overtime segment, they had a discussion about potential 2020 presidential contenders, and throughout the course of this discussion, they said things that ranged from just weird to downright tone deaf. So I'll go ahead and play the clip for you, and then I'll discuss where they went wrong.
Who is going to be the Democratic candidate in 2020? We cannot fuck this up. And we also can't live under the illusion that the electorate is going to go for somebody who isn't charismatic, okay, and a great salesman. You can't, Hillary Clinton proved you can be completely competent. You can't win an election with, I know I'm not that great, but this guy's
Bill,
nuts.
first of all, I want to say, you have overdone this. Oh, how terrible it was, and this great mighty Trump. It was the narrowest victory in American history.
And still a victory, bro.
Yeah, but a very narrow one. And since then, he has alienated a lot of people. I don't know what world you guys live in where you think he's so triumphant. Even the Wall Street Journal.
The world where he's president every day?
But
that totally is the world I live in.
No, but that's not. No, you're living in a world in which he's not just the president, but he's a politically successful and mighty president, and it's the other way around. He's losing popularity. He's not getting anything done. Of course, I wish he wasn't president. I worked very hard to try and stop him. But you got to estimate where we are. To answer your question, by the way, it has never, this far ahead of a presidential election, been able to predict who the non-incumbent candidate of either party would be.
I know.
I'm looking around, scouring the landscape, and I see nothing.
I know a guy.
Please.
I think the people in this state do too.
Gavin, say that in Rhode Island, by the way.
Gavin Newsom. We got a guy. We got a guy named Gavin Newsom. This guy should be president. He can win. He's going to be governor in 2018, and I know that's a short time just to be governor before you run. I don't give a fuck. His slogan should be, hello, I must be going.
This pessimism and this fear, you talk about, oh, liberals cry. You guys are cowering before a guy who's a paper tiger. He got elected, but he has been very ineffective and generated an awful lot of opposition.
And what about after he starts the war with North Korea? How powerful will he be then? Because once the war starts, you know, presidents seem to be able to get whatever they want.
I don't believe he's going to start a war with
I hope not.
By the way, George Bush
He'd have to be crazy to do that.
George Bush started a war with Iraq, and it didn't work out very well for the Republican Party.
He got reelected handily.
So when I watched this clip, it communicates to me that Bill Maher still doesn't really get it. Although he's getting closer and he's gotten close sometimes, and he did get it. I did consider him a progressive at one point. I still think that he doesn't really know what ordinary, non-wealthy Americans want. Now, everything that Barney Frank said was wrong, but thankfully they corrected him. And I think Barney Frank, I mean, I can't remember the last time he said something that wasn't completely stupid, but thankfully they corrected him. Now, getting to Bill Maher. Bill Maher said, we can't live under the illusion that the electorate is going to go for somebody who isn't. And when he said that, I thought he was going to say who isn't a true progressive, but what he ended up saying was who isn't charismatic. Bill. Okay, so charisma, it certainly matters, right? I think that that is one component of what makes a successful political candidate, but what it really comes down to is the policy substance. I mean, voters are rational, they're self-interested, and they're about more than just superficial things about politicians, like charisma. If you offer them something, then they will be responsive to that. Hence why Bernie Sanders was so successful. It's why he's the most popular politician in the country. Bernie Sanders is like 157 years old. He has not a shred of charisma in him. Yet, he's popular because he's offering the American people something that gives them hope, that makes them optimistic in a political time when we're just downright depressed. Now, as for Bill Maher's example, he chose Gavin Newsom. Now, it really frustrated me that throughout the course of this discussion, not a single person mentioned the most popular politician in the country. I was like pulling out my hair, and even though he's going to be 200 years old by the time 2020 rolls around, you still bring him up. You say, we want someone like Bernie Sanders, if not Bernie Sanders, to run, regardless of how old he is, or we want someone exactly like him that embodies everything that Bernie Sanders represents. They don't mention him. He mentions Gavin Newsom. Now, when it comes to Gavin Newsom, I'm split on Gavin Newsom, and I'll tell you why. So Gavin Newsom is actually someone that I do think is politically progressive. So he does support universal health care. He supports criminal justice reform. He supports paid family leave. But with that being said, there are things about him that are unknown. And also, seeing that he's similar to Bernie Sanders on policy, well, you'd think that he would have been a pretty strong Bernie Sanders surrogate during the campaign, but where was he? He wasn't stumping for Bernie. Well, that's because he endorsed Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders, even though he agrees with Bernie Sanders more politically. So what that tells me about Gavin Newsom is that he's a politically calculative politician. He's trying to make moves that will benefit his career, and he thought that since Hillary Clinton would most likely win, well, he'd have to get in good with the new White House administration. This is the same thing that Elizabeth Warren did. She didn't expect Bernie Sanders to win, and she endorsed Hillary Clinton. She backed the wrong pony, and this was a political miscalculation. So I kind of find him more like an Elizabeth Warren type of character, but instead of focusing more on Wall Street like Elizabeth Warren does, he focuses more on the issues that Bernie Sanders talks about. And Bernie Sanders talks about Wall Street, so I feel like he's a mix of Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, but I do like him, but I think that he's disingenuous, and he does come across as a rehearsed politician, and I think that unless he really hammers down on the policies, the base will see him as a smarmy Martin O'Malley / Ted Cruz type of figure. But I mean, overall, if it does come to the policies, I actually like Gavin Newsom. But I don't like Gavin Newsom because of his charisma, Bill. I like him because of the policy positions that he has. I don't think that he's popular because he's a good speaker. I think he's popular because he's kind of a pioneer in the party. He's willing to take positions that the rest of the party and the political establishment aren't willing to accept yet. And I find that admirable about him. But with Bill Maher, Bill, if you want to know what will get voters interested and excited about politics, you have to come up with a politician that is going to talk about the policies that will improve their lives. Hillary Clinton was an elitist candidate. We all knew she was in bed with Wall Street. She gave speeches to Goldman Sachs and refused to release those transcripts. That's a candidate that's not going to inspire anyone. And you thought that we would be inspired by her exclusively based on the fact that she would be the first woman president. Well, that's great, but you've got to offer us something else, Hillary. And Bill doesn't get this. He thinks that just because she was qualified and competent, well, that, that should have resonated with voters, but it didn't, so we need someone with charisma. No, Bill. Competency, qualifications, those matter less than policy. It's all about the policy. And we actually have to believe that a candidate will back up those policies when they get in office. It can't be like Obama where you talk about progressive policies but then take money from Wall Street, for example, and then turn on us. That's not allowed anymore. That's not acceptable. So if he really wanted to float someone who was very progressive, he should have backed Tulsi Gabbard. He should have said someone like Nina Turner. I think that Nina Turner would win in a landslide if she was the Democratic Party nominee. And I think that even if she ran, how can you not like Nina Turner when you hear her speak? She has nothing but policy substance. She knows what average voters are going through because she talks to them. So Bill Maher, he doesn't get it, but he's getting there. I just wish that he would talk to real progressives and voters and grassroots people to know what we would want, because he has a huge platform that could potentially...
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.